Hi, I'm Jean Edelman. For decades, I've been a student of the healing arts: Reiki, traditional Chinese medicine, homeopathy, acupuncture, plant-based, and macrobiotic cooking. Join me on this journey and hear my thoughts of the week. Hello, my beautiful friends, and welcome to Self-Care with Jean. On today's special episode, we're joined by Dr. William Li. Dr. Li is a physician, a scientist, and a best-selling author. He's got 2 books: Eat to Beat Disease, The New Science of How Your Body Can Heal Itself, and Eat to Beat Your Diet, Burn Fat and Heal Your Metabolism and Live Longer. This is part 3 of a 4-part conversation with Dr. William Li. Dr. William Li is leading global initiatives on food as medicine. For the latest on cutting-edge food as medicine, metabolism, and longevity, visit Dr. Li's YouTube channel. How about on a daily basis? What's your day like? How do you look at preventing disease when you're
Yeah.
looking at your
So
day?
look, when it comes to food and
Mm-hmm.
food is medicine,
Mm-hmm.
it's not just about the food. So I don't buy into the whole superfood argument. Superfoods is the marketing label.
Right.
That's what companies do to try to sell their product. And I respect, that's what a company should do, is to sell stuff. But the reality is that there's no single superfood. What's really super is our body.
Right.
All right. Our bodies are remarkably designed with our own health defenses. And so for me, when I think about food as medicine, it's not just about the food, it's about how our bodies respond to what we put inside it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's really what my research is. So,
Yeah.
I'm a vascular biologist. I study blood vessels,
Okay.
and blood vessels are one of the first organs that forms in our body. So when your father's sperm met your mother's egg, and you were just a ball of cells,
Yeah.
okay, there was no arms, no legs, no face, no chin. All right, we were just a ball of cells. We are all stem cells. All right, like
Mm-hmm. Okay.
anything can turn into any cell could turn into any part of your body. All right, no big toe, no ankle, no knee. The first organ system that forms is your circulation,
Okay.
because every single organ needs blood flow. So
Right.
what happens is these stem cells start to morph, and they turn into this network of tributaries, highways and byways, where blood vessels will ultimately bring every molecule of oxygen you breathe, every nutrient you eat, to every organ and every cell in your body. So blood vessels are really, really a remarkable conduit for food as medicine, right? So anything we eat goes into our mouth, it goes into our
Mm-hmm.
stomach, we digest it. Guess what? All of the substances, natural chemicals that Mother Nature imbued into our food, gets absorbed through our stomach into our bloodstream. And then it's this channel of blood vessels, by the way, 60,000 miles worth of blood vessels in the average adult, that
Wow.
actually brings those nutrients to every single cell
Mm.
in your body. And this is actually not just with humans. If you got pets, if
Mm-hmm.
you raise chickens in your backyard, same deal. And in fact, I will tell you a jaw-dropping fact. And you're going to like this because it has to do with a fossil museum that I know that you're very, very close to.
Very fond of, yes.
I was with my good friend and paleontologist, Professor Ken Lacavara, who's the dean of Rowan University and heads up the Edelman Fossil Park and Museum. And we were at a conference where he was running a workshop. And he knew that I study blood vessels, angiogenesis, how the body grows blood vessels. He knew I was a geek on blood vessels, right? I'd given a TED talk on can we eat to starve cancer? And I'd seen his TED talk on dinosaurs. And he said to me, the science and biology is moving really fast. And because of how fast we're learning, you can't make any assumptions that something is absolutely true or something's absolutely false. And that's my philosophy. Like, as we're learning about nutrition, we're always learning new things about
Sure.
nutrition,
Yeah.
which is really a wonderful way to think about. And he said, let me prove it to you. So he pulled out of his coat pocket a little tube, a little plastic tube called a Nuck tube, and he said, I was with other people, we were all his students, and we pulled out a little fluid from this brown tube and dropped it into the microscope, and he said, "Go ahead, Dr. Lee, take a look." I looked at the tube and I looked under the microscope. You know what was written on the tube?
No.
The name of what was in the tube? It was T-Rex.
Oh, he had T-Rex
He had
DNA?
he had a tube of T-Rex, not
Oh,
DNA,
not DNA.
and I
Okay.
put it underneath a microscope, and I'm telling you, you could hear my jaw hit the ground
Oh my
because
God.
under the microscope, I saw a T-Rex blood vessel.
Wow. Wow.
Unbelievable. Like when I even talking about it now, like it sends a shiver down my spine. Like, oh my
Wow.
God, it's so exciting. So, blood vessels, they've been
Yeah.
conserved throughout evolution, everything from dinosaurs to modern day. They are the conduits for health. When we eat our foods, all those micronutrients that nourish us, sustain us, the proteins, the fats, the carbs, but also the polyphenols get absorbed into our bloodstream. And it's our blood vessels that take them to the cells and the organs that allow us to activate our health defenses. If you want good blood vessels, you can eat foods like blueberries, blackberries. You could eat foods like an apple or apple peel, or you could have barley that will actually make our circulation healthier.
Mm.
Okay. If you want a healthier immune system, you can eat foods like kiwi or avocado or extra virgin olive oil that will raise our immune shields and lower our inflammation. If you want to actually protect our gut health so that the healthy bacteria in our gut, not just in our tongue, but all the way down in our lower gut, can actually boost our immune system, lower inflammation, make our metabolism work better, lower our blood lipids, our blood cholesterols, no statins needed, okay,
Mm.
and text message our brain. So this is all hardwired inside us. You can eat foods like the beans that I stirred with the canoe paddle will
Right.
actually do that. Avocado, a great source of dietary fiber. Mushrooms will also feed the gut microbiome. Matcha tea, sipping the matcha tea will also benefit your gut microbiome. And so the point is, and I wrote a book called Eat to Beat Disease about this, our body is packed with health defenses. Angiogenesis, our circulation, our stem cells to help regenerate and heal us, our gut microbiome, our healthy gut bacteria, our DNA protection, ability to protect. We'll come back to this in a second. And our
Hmm.
immune system. Now, our DNA is really important because I think most people have heard of antioxidants, right?
Right. Right.
But not, a lot of people might not know what an antioxidant is.
I would agree.
So the anti of antioxidant is really a heat-seeking missile to down the oxidant. There's oxidant, oxidative stress, damages cells, and there's antioxidant to neutralize it. All right. So if you want to actually take out the missile, you really need to have an antioxidant. All right. Now, where do you get those oxidants? Because they're stressful. Well, they're present in chemicals that you might find in a preservative, for example, artificial coloring, artificial flavoring. Something ultra processed might be there. It might be in a grilled meat. You know, if you have char on your steak, it
Mm.
might be on a deep fried food. You know, I mean, look, everyone likes good fish and chips or fries, but you know, those are they have lots of oxidative stress molecules in there that damage your DNA. So, fortunately, when we eat foods that activate our DNA defenses, our own body will neutralize those oxidants. So, we amplify by eating certain foods, colorful foods, eat the rainbow. We
Mhm.
neutralize those missiles, the incoming, in order to be able to protect our DNA. Why is that important? Well, if you have DNA damage, you are setting yourself up for cancer.
Mm.
If you damage your DNA, if you allow the world to damage your DNA and you lower your shields so your body doesn't actually protect it well enough, well, you're setting yourself up for being much more vulnerable to cancer. Simple example. We all know that if you go out into the sun and you get sunburn over and over, you're going to get a mutation on your skin that's going to put you at risk for skin cancer.
Right.
The ultraviolet radiation is an oxidative stressor that causes DNA damage. You do that over and over and over, rinse and repeat over and over again. That's the setup for cancer. So, what can you eat to counter that? Well, it turns out before you go out into the sun, you should put on sunscreen, of course.
Yes.
All right. So I'm a medical doctor. I got to say the sensible things. But I will tell you that one of the things that you can do is to have an antioxidant drink.
Hmm.
One that's been studied in humans is lycopene. Lycopene is a natural substance that's found in tomato juice, tomatoes. It's found in
Okay.
watermelon juice. So the next time before you go out to the beach, if you have a glass of fresh squeezed watermelon juice,
Nice.
tomato juice will work as well, but I think watermelon juice is a little fresher. It's
Yeah.
sunny. It's like kind of where you go out there. Do it 2 hours before you go out into the sun. It's like sunscreen from the inside out. You're
I
getting
love it.
antioxidant from the inside out. So sure, smooth the sunscreen on your skin. Have a glass of watermelon juice to give you sunscreen from the inside out. That's how we practice
That's
food as medicine.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Oh my gosh, this is great. This is great. So, can we change our DNA? Can we change our path, our health path, making small
Okay.
changes?
Yeah, so let's talk about DNA for a second because I think a lot of people might not be familiar with the ins and outs of DNA. So, listen, we inherit our DNA from mom and dad, half
Right.
from mom, half from dad. All right. And that's kind of what sticks with us. We're born with it, and that's what's going to take us through our whole lives. Now, DNA can be damaged, as we just talked about. So, you don't want damage. You want to, and if there is DNA damage, fortunately, your body can fix the damage. So, we got a road crew to fix the potholes in our DNA. All right.
Right.
So thank goodness for that. All right. But it doesn't fix everything. Antioxidants will protect our DNA from further damage. If you have genetic risk factors, meaning you can inherit DNA that actually can be dangerous, that would be like inheriting a cancer gene, for example, a cancer
Mm,
mutation. So you might have heard of BRCA or
right.
P10 or P53 or Lynch syndrome. There's like, I can go on and on. There's like the laundry list of inherited genes or syndromes that put you at risk for different diseases, including cancer. Well, guess what? We hear about cancer screening, but did you know that only 5 to 10% of cancers are genetically driven?
Hmm. Didn't know
Only
that.
5 to 10%. The minority, all right? 90 to 95% of cancers are related to caused by environment, diet, and lifestyle.
Mm,
And because of that, we can tip the odds in our own favor because we can't actually switch out the genes from mom and dad,
right.
but we can, even if you have the risk, tip the odds in your own favor by optimizing what you're exposed to in the environment, by eating healthier foods, staying away, cutting down or cutting out the harmful ones, and living a healthier lifestyle. And a healthier lifestyle involves movement. You don't have to work out, like you don't have to have a trainer, but if you do, that's good. But it's just regular physical movement. I would tell people walk 30 minutes after dinner every night. If it's raining, walk in the house. If you're the kind of person who needs to be distracted, put on some earbuds and listen to, a podcast, before one episode and you've actually done your half an hour. All right.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
easy, simple ways. These are not difficult. These are easy ways. Movement, sleep, monitoring, managing your stress, hanging out with friends, seeing a comedy, feeling happy, self care,
Yeah.
self compassion is something that is so important. And I think somehow over the last 50 years, we have actually gotten further and further away from self compassion. Now, some of it might be in sort of Judeo Christian roots, in terms of like how we're supposed to live our lives. But I think that, in today's world where everybody is feeling a little bit more stressed than we're comfortable feeling, one of the things that I say is that you can counter what's going on around us by having more self compassion.
Hmm. Yes.
You know, do
Yeah.
something that you really enjoy.
Yeah.
Don't feel guilty about it. Lean into yourself. And when it comes to food, eat something that really brings you pleasure. So when I wrote my book, Eat to Beat Disease, I put 200 foods into the book that I already did all the heavy lifting and show that they are healthy foods. So
Hmm.
I tell people when people like, Dr. Lee, what do you think I should eat? I said, if you have my book, just take a highlighter and flip through all the tables and charts and put a circle around every food that you already love,
Hmm.
already
Right.
tastes good for you. And
Right.
start there because then you're already ahead of the game by eating something you actually like. So none of this stuff about using the biology of our health defenses to shore up our defenses so that we're more likely to stay healthier longer. That to me is the definition of longevity, longer and healthier.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, to me, that's how we get there. You don't need to go subscribe to a crazy supplement or get some
Right.
crazy infusion or, I mean, look, if you want to do that kind of stuff, go ahead, but it doesn't substitute for the fundamentals. And so what's what we're talking about here are the fundamentals.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, well, we're in the right place, self-care, and even how we talk to each other and our relationship with food. We have a positive relationship with food. We have to love ourselves. Next week on Self Care with Jean, we wrap up our conversation with Dr. William Li in part 4 of our 4-part series. Dr. Li discusses the power of plant-based eating, how to explore new foods like an adventurer, and 3 simple takeaways you can act on to eat and live healthier. Join us next week on Self Care with Jean. Remember, my friends, this is Earth School. We're here to learn to love ourselves, love each other. What better way to love ourselves than to cook whole food, to care, to have mindful eating, to take our time, to savor, to understand that digestion begins in our mouth and our gut, and take our time, savor our food, love ourselves, love each other, and then remember that life comes from us and life is for us. We had a wonderful conversation with Dr. William Li. I encourage you to join me next week because we're going to continue the conversation with part 4. Have a great week. Everybody dive in. Food is medicine.